Hello and welcome to another edition of the Dog Walk. It's a very wintry day today after the storm. Everything's white. You can smell the crisp winter air. Exactly what you imagine when you think of the smell of winter. Anyway, I struggled between a few different topics for today, and I guess what I'm gonna talk about was kind of triggered by an email that I got from my parents this morning, which honestly really shocked and surprised me. So I guess I'll start by giving a little bit of background, as I always do. Or actually, yeah. I should mention the topic I want to talk about. So I want to talk about, basically it's related to parenting and what kind of example you should be giving to your children. So, back to some background. So, I've always felt, especially as a kid, that I was extremely lucky in that I had the, kind of the quote-unquote perfect parents. Now, mind you, everyone's definition of a perfect parent will be different, but I think in no small part that's that's due in no small part to your parents, right? How they raise you and the environment that they set for you, I think really shapes what your expectations will be or should be, right? That's why for some people it's enough for, them to just show up. What's up, Daisy? Daisy, what's up? Come on. Are you too cold? Daisy, are you too cold? Oh, Daisy, you're too cold. Shit. Pardon my French. I was not expecting to have to pick her up this early, but it is very cold. Please pardon the shaky cam. I'm now carrying a Daisy. Poor little girl. It's too cold. Okay, so I guess I'll speed things up and make this a short one too. Okay, so yeah, to get back to what I was saying, all my parents, for some people it might be okay for just for that to show up, right? That's good enough. For others, the perfect parents, let them do whatever they want, give them the freedom, right? That wasn't me, but I get it. I get how the environment that your parents set at home set your expectations. So, in my case, what I thought of as a perfect parents really is because they were, it all boils down to, they were supportive, encouraging, and they gave me a good example to follow. All of my friends have always said throughout my entire life how nice my parents were. My parents were always involved in coaching my soccer team and the PTA and that type of stuff. My dad could, go up to a paper bag and then chat it up for an hour, no problem, right? And he got that social skill from my grandfather, who's the same, right? 97 years old, was still president of his association of veterans at his veterans hospital, right? Running the executive committee and still involved in chatting with all the nurses and this and that. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. What is that? I remember, like, a few days ago or several, I've been watching a TV show, and one of the big points that they kind of make in that TV show, even though it's scripted, obviously, is that, kind of, you are the trauma that your parents, you are your parents' trauma. Like, you take that on, and that shapes you, and it's very difficult to get away from, legacy and errors. And this is a show about motorcycle gangs and stuff, and everyone killing each other and all being bad persons and all. But anyway, that kind of stuck with me because I look back, and as a kid, I'm trying to figure out what are the quote-unquote screw-ups that my parents did that I want to correct, to make my son's life better. And I'm really struggling to find any. My parents pretty much always gave me kind of this air of awesomeness, control, certitude, whatever, like, flawlessness, almost. And I'm wondering, because now, as I'm growing up, and again, to go back to the email that they sent to me earlier today, something that really shocked me, and I'm now, over the years, as I'm an adult, starting to sort of see some chinks in the armor, or some, see them do or say things that I never, ever in a million years would have thought of them saying or doing. And it just, like, it kind of shocks me, like, the way they told me, or what they told me about, like, feedback that they gave on a cruise there. Anyway, it's like, I look at it and what they said, and in my mind I'm like, my God, if my kids showed me this, and told me that they had said this or responded this way to these questions, I would be ashamed. I would tell them, I've raised you better than that. And yet, these are the folks who raised me, and who have always given me the proper example, have always been, the people who get comped a million things at the hotel because they're so nice to the staff and this and that, and who know all the staff by their first names. And anyway, I'm getting, like, without going into the story itself and what they did, it's just, the point is that kind of shocked me. And looking back, it's not the first instance. There are very few, very rare, but there's more and more instances of, as I'm an adult, I'm discovering some of my parents' flaws. And that brings me to my actual point, or my actual dilemma, which is that what I want to do? Do I want to be the perfect, or as close to the perfect role model as I can be for my son? And, never let the façade crack. Never show anything. Like, always be perfect, or try to be, right? Or kind of like my parents did to me, which, I don't know, it's hard to live up to, man, when you think that your parents are flawless, and any single little mistake that you may make will make them sad, ashamed, disappointed, more than mad. But like, that doesn't really encourage sharing, right? Whenever I would make a mistake, my instinct was never to go talk to my parents. Okay, or I'm talking of my memory, right? Maybe when I was a 10-year-old or whatever, things are different, right? I'm 40 years old, but as a kind of a general sense, and especially as more of an adult after I left the house, whenever I make a mistake, I was too ashamed to go to them or to talk to them or to, bring them in, which means I can't get support from them, which means that maybe also that they see me in an unrealistic manner. That's one of the other chinks that I saw in their armor recently. Apparently they said a few things to my girlfriend, my spouse, I should say, which in my mind are totally unacceptable and I never would have expected my mom in a million years to, give my spouse a lecture about her not being responsible because she's not cleaning the house well enough for me. Like, what the? Anyway, what the? Anyway, when they know very well that I myself really hate cleaning and blah blah blah, and I've never been. He said this way, so completely unrealistic expectations. And anyway, so more and more cracks, but really, is that what I want to do? Do I want to give the best example possible to my children and act or present as if I'm flawless? Or is it better to, show my flaws? When I make a mistake, tell them about it. Tell them about past mistakes that I've made so that they can see that not only that I'm human, but also that everyone makes mistakes. And hey, maybe they can learn from my mistake and not have to go through it and learn it the hard way themselves like I did for many of my lessons, right? So, I don't know. I don't know what's better. Be the perfect model or be the honest model? I truly think the answer is probably somewhere in the middle there. As for most things, I'm a big proponent of, the middle path. But still, that's hard. And I have to think more about it. So, I'd be really interested in your opinions. I'd be really interested in hearing how I did or how things turned out, Felix, 10, 20, 30 years down the line. But yeah, what about you guys? Or you listeners or watchers? How are your parents? What do you think is best? How did they treat you? Does any of this resonate with you? Any tips? Any hints? Any opinions? I'd gladly take any feedback because, man, I haven't figured this one out yet. I won't for a while. So on that note, yeah, please comment down below what you think. Share, subscribe, do all the media stuff. And thanks for listening to another edition of The Dog Park.